Welcome to another Worth Your Dime video. Today we're looking at Caveblazers. This game is a two-dimensional action-focused platformer roguelike with AI characters set in a fantasy world. And it also kind of plays like a mix between Spelunky and Castlevania, or Dead Cells. Caveblazers is developed by Roguelike Games and published by the Yogscast. You can buy the game on Steam or the Humble Bundle website for $10, so let's dive in and find out whether or not this game is worth yours. First things first, Caveblazers is a two-dimensional game, as I said previously, and uses an art style that is reminiscent of a lot of 8-bit games in the past. However, the artwork and art design is pretty top-notch, the animations are smooth and fluid, and while it can be difficult to see your character because of how small he is, I feel like they put a lot of detail in other areas of the game in terms of lighting and sprite animation. The first area that you start off in is a sort of hub that allows you to enter a randomly generated dungeon, a daily dungeon, customize your character with unlocked customizables like shirt, pants, hair color, beard, helmet, as well as choose your starting perk that affects how you start the game in terms of, say, your starting damage, your equipment, other various changes to your character. Like, for example, I use Juggernaut, which increases my maximum health. It also gives me more melee damage, but takes away ranged damage. Now, you do have melee attacks that you can use to quickly do a lot of damage up close, and you also have ranged attacks with your bow, and you use the right thumbstick in order to aim and shoot. And you can shoot up, left, down, diagonal, all that stuff. And it is worthy to note that using a controller on this game, it makes it a lot better than the keyboard, because you don't use your mouse to aim or anything. You use literally like WASD to move and then the arrow keys to attack and space to jump. It can get really disorienting, and it's just a lot more intuitive on a controller for sure. So the whole idea here with Caveblazers is that you go inside of a randomly generated dungeon that is pretty completely randomly generated, to the point where playing it more than a few times, even in the same zones, it'll feel different every time. There are 2 randomly generated levels per zone that you explore in, and in between each zone is a boss fight. And I'll touch more on that a little bit later. But for now, what you'll find in each zone is a variety of enemies, loot, blessings that you can find to upgrade your character, as well as AI-controlled other explorers that will go into your dungeon as well, either before or after you've joined that particular dungeon, and can either help you, be completely neutral to you, or harm you. And you'll see some gameplay of that a little bit later. You will also find various shrines that you can spend the gold that you collect inside of each level to, say, buy new upgrades, buy new weapons, new bows, magical trinkets that you can use that gain energy as you kill enemies, rings, amulets, all kinds of stuff. But when it comes to the AI in this game, the ones that you're either killing or the ones that are helping you, they all have an advanced pathfinding system that allows them to easily follow where you go in the level, as well as progress from top to bottom, or bottom to top, or just basically get around as easily as you do. They can climb on walls, they can jump off of them, they know how to do pretty much everything that you do. And I like that. That means that if you do eventually get a helper helping you out, that they will easily be able to follow you as you traverse the dungeon and its randomly generated environment. Same thing applies to enemies though. You can try to run away from them or put some distance in between them and yourself, like you would say in a game like Spelunky or Dead Cells, but they will follow you, essentially all the way down to the very bottom floor if they have to. And I think that's the biggest difference between this game and other games in the similar genre, like Dead Cells, like Spelunky, is that once an enemy is aware of your presence, it will follow you pretty much anywhere in the level. So you do have to be careful. Compared to other games of this type, it does have a heavy emphasis on RPG systems. The items that you pick up will have various damage values and oftentimes varied passive effects that can change how they work or how they might affect your enemies. And the same can be said for the rings and amulets that you find and the magical items that you can use, as well as the blessings that you'll find scattered around each level. These are passive upgrades to your character that can change anything from increasing the speed of your arrows and its range or knockback, to increasing your health on kills, or zapping enemies with the electricity if they get too close once every 10 seconds. Lots of ways to kill, and lots of ways to be killed. You have to be wary of spikes, you have to be wary of ranged combatants, of bats that like to home in on you, of those little blue blob guys that will try to like dash towards you and explode, kind of like hyperactive creepers from Minecraft. You'll even sometimes come across bigger enemies or mini boss versions of the enemies that are already in the dungeon. Like, for example, you'll be fighting orcs a lot of the times in the earlier levels. But sometimes there will be orc captains that are really good at attacking around the same time that you do, and when that happens, you'll both like clang together your weapons and you'll like bounce each other back, and you can be in somewhat of a stalemate trying to fight them melee for a while, so you have to get creative in how you attack. And then once you have passed those 2 levels in every zone, you get to the boss. Now these bosses are tough, and they oftentimes have a variety of mechanics and at least 1 weakness per boss. For example, one of the first bosses that you'll come up against is this floating squid, and he will try to grab you from where you are on the ground, and when he does that, you can kind of juke him in and out, and he'll either grab you or he won't. If he doesn't grab you, then you can hit him with your sword or whatever, and it'll kind of stun him, and he'll float around in the air stunned, and then if you pelt him with enough arrows, he'll get like completely dazed and knocked out, and he'll land on the ground, and then you can really do a ton of damage to him. These kinds of weakness mechanics are in place for most bosses that I've been able to go up against, which is good because it's difficult, but once you learn the patterns, it becomes a lot more doable, and it'll still retain that challenge. It's just not impossible, which is nice. It's a good balance in my opinion. There is one more thing I would like to stress about this game, and that is the fact that it is only single player right now. It doesn't plan on having online multiplayer anytime in the future. However, local co-op, I hear, is coming down the pipeline in terms of development. So yeah, it does suck not having the ability to play online co-op or even local co-op at this point in time, because when you're playing with an AI follower and they're essentially another player like you, it makes sense from a design perspective or mechanical perspective that multiplayer online even would be awesome in this game. I feel like it would work. Maybe tweak the monster spawns a little bit for co-op, or make it so that the total amount of health that you would have normally you have to split and share with your partner. I feel like that would be pretty fair. But what you get right now is a fun single-player experience, and while I haven't beaten the game or seen all that it has to offer, I can tell you one thing, that it's fun. It's a lot of fun, and it's very replayable. So let's answer that question. Is this game, Caveblazers, worth your dime? Is it worth the $10? Oh yeah. It's challenging, it's fun, you're going to get local co-op later on, and it's really replayable. So for me personally, I feel like $10 is a fair price point. Let me know what you think about Caveblazers in the comments down below. Do you think you might pick it up? Do you think you might enjoy a game like this that is kind of a mix between Spelunky and Castlevania? Let me know and we'll have a discussion about it. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button, and if you don't want to miss any more worth your dime or worth your time videos or critical first impressions, then hit that subscribe button for more. I appreciate your viewership, and I will catch you next time.